Okay, this is a map, two maps of the United States. The top map is of the 5G towers. Second map at the bottom is where the coronavirus are mostly at. You see that we have New York, the East Coast, Maine, New Hampshire, and also on the West Coast of California. The whole section of California is on lockdown because of this virus, and we're just showing you how these match up almost identical to each other. How much of a coincidence could that be? We have San Antonio and Austin. We have Dallas, which is on lockdown as well. Not only do we have Dallas, we have the whole Gulf Coast. When it comes down to Houston, come down to New Orleans, which is on lockdown, come down to Florida. These are matches because this is where the coronavirus is attacking. It's where the cell towers are. Just one example of many that we're going to show you.
It's hotspots.
Yeah, so this is where we are. Right. I was saying to get something to eat. There's nowhere we can get nothing to eat at.
I just did that.
Yeah.
Jump.
Gosh, go. And the legal threshold is what, 11? Or is
No.
it what?
Anything red is illegal. To
So
live in.
like even like if it goes above 4,
Yeah,
it may-
if 3,
3,
4, that's high.
Wow.
Okay, we're now in the area of in Greens Point. We're going to be out here for a little bit, but we're just driving around the hood looking for hotspots, and this is one of the most prominent hotspots that we found. We're over here near the Imperial Valley and the Greens Point Drive area, near the Advanced Auto. There is a Family Dollar. There is a couple of grocery. There's a grocery store, and so there's different things over here. So people, this is a complete shopping strip.
Sure.
The issue is that the readings out here is one of the highest in Greens Point, or it's near even 13. It fluctuates from 10 to 14, which is extremely high, and it's saturating this area here. It's literally not bagging off. Most of the times that we've experienced these readings, they fluctuate from high to low. So I guess it would give your body a break, which is still high, but it would give your body a break. It does not fluctuate to that degree where it would go into the normal range or the subnormal range, which there's 3 different ranges. There's low to none, and there is medium, and there's high. This stays fluctuating in the high range, in the red range, in the range that says it's not good for humans to be in this environment. Here in Greens Point, this is one of the highest radioactive areas that we found in Greens Point area, and over here in Imperial Valley and Greens Point Drive. So we want to acknowledge that. You guys be careful in this area, and like I say, all I can do is I'm using the potassium iodine. So you may want to look at that as well. But this area is very dangerous when it comes to radioactive activity. Be careful in this area. If you look carefully, there is a large 5G tower sitting right on top of this building. And look how low it is. This is what's not normal either. The reason why the signals and the radiation is so high is one of the reasons because these towers are so low. Look at this. This is not how it's supposed to do it. This is illegal. So again, go back on our line, go back on my Facebook, sign the petition, share it, because this has to stop.
What's really occurring with coronavirus? This is going to be difficult for people to accept, but let me tell you categorically, factually, and scientifically, coronavirus is not the problem. It is questionable whether it is even a contagion in the context of a disease that is spreading from person to person. What we're seeing are symptoms of a virus. What we are not aware of what's causing those symptoms. So has nothing to do with a biological warfare or any other kind of stuff that you might be hearing swirling around on the internet. What this is our bodies reacting to what is known as radio spectrum radiation or radio frequency radiation. And so I know that sounds bizarre, but let me tell you scientifically what is happening, and then I'll tell you contextually why it's happening, and I'll tell you what we can do about it. So what is occurring? Globally, I was the head of the largest business unit at Vodafone, their headquarters in Newbury, between 2013 through to 2015. I was privy to a number of the new technologies that were coming down the pipe that was going to be implemented, namely the Internet of Things, and secondly, the 5G technology. I knew a long time ago that 5G was dangerous, but I didn't understand the correlation with the coronavirus, which I now do, and I want to be able to explain that to you. So what is happening? There is a deliberate strategy to roll out 5G, which is the fifth generation internet radio spectrum frequencies that enable mobile phones, smartphones, and all devices to function on a much faster processing ability. And with the introduction of AI and artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things, where all devices will be connected, so whether it's your car, whether it's your phone, whether it's your refrigerator, whether it's your electricity in your house, it's all going to be on a smart grid. Effectively a type of matrix, unfortunately. Sorry to use that term. So what is happening is that this technology has to be rolled out globally. My company that I used to work for, as they're running their largest worldwide business unit, is Vodafone. Vodafone are in partnership with Huawei or Huawei, whatever you call them, a Chinese telecoms company. And they have been rolling out systematic 5G implementation in multiple locations. What's the relevance? The frequency that they're using, and I also ran a telecoms company back in 2010 through to 2013-14, some of you will be aware, that specialized in radio spectrum, this is the ability to take external signals from satellites into buildings. And so that the frequency that you experience in power on your phone is the same in the building as it is outside of the building. When mobile networks were created initially, they thought people will be on the road all the time, hence why they were called mobile phones. But actually what happened is people used their mobile phones in buildings and the signal wasn't strong enough to penetrate buildings. That's called radio spectrum. And they're different megahertz frequencies, etc. So the 5G frequency is a very high frequency, very, very, very high frequency. It is just below the classification of a weapon, and I'll tell you why. The frequency that they're using, which is 10 times faster than 4G, unfortunately, when it comes into connection with human bodies, causes cell poisoning. Cell poisoning. So our bodies try to fight the radiation that is in the form of cell poisoning because of this frequency. It is effectively radiation. And what happens is our bodies kick out the toxicity or toxins with some proteins and some DNA, RNA from our cells in the form of a chemical which is called a virus. So most diseases are excretions from cells that we are trying to pull out of our body or push out of our body. And it will head towards orifices to be excreted or expunged out of our body. So our noses or our mouths. So you can understand the picture I'm painting. So what's happening, sorry for the detail, but this is going to take a bit of time. What is happening is that 5G, the frequency and the power, which is 10 times more powerful than 4G, is reacting adversely with human cells, causing cells in our bodies to be poisoned, toxic, and our natural defense mechanism is pushing out that toxicity in the form of a virus. So what you're seeing is not coronavirus per se, you're seeing cell poisoning manifesting with fluids, chemicals, viruses that the body is trying to dispose of because it's harmful to its physical body. So all that's occurring around the world, and I hear your minds thinking, well, how can that be, Pastor? But I'll explain in a moment. All that's occurring in the world is a reaction to human bodies to the electrification of the universe through 5G satellites, 5G towers, 5G cells that are being populated in major cities around the world. So this is what is causing this pandemic. So sorry to say, second point, this is the largest global cover-up in history for the impact on human beings based on technological advancements. So what is happening, it's not the coronavirus. It is a virus that is being produced by cell poisoning. And therefore, the virus that we have is really a measure or indication of our cells excreting toxins. This is what's killing people. So let me give you some facts that will hopefully make this compelling. So one of the first cities that Vodafone, Highway, and some of the other technology companies rolled out the ubiquitous blanket 5G, guess where it was? Wuhan, China, where this coronavirus was supposedly meant to start in some fish market. That is complete nonsense. It started as a result of radioactive or radio frequencies at a high level, creating radiation that was toxic to cells. And that's why people were falling over, dying in the streets, etc. So they've tried to cover it up. So because it has a flu type characteristics, they are using coronavirus to try and hide the fact that people are dying from the 5G frequency. So let me just explain. Other major cities that rolled this out, it takes 6 months for this to impact your physical body. So last year, obviously Wuhan was the first city. Then Spain rolled out 5G. Italy rolled out 5G. So you're seeing an uncommon level of fatalities because of the level of 5G penetration in these countries. Italy has had more fatalities than any other country because it is densely populated with 5G, and the older generation doesn't have the immune system to fight against it. Let me move on because of time. So Italy has rolled it out. Spain has rolled it out. Most major cities have rolled it out around the world, and countries. London is one of the biggest CCTV centers, and obviously they're in the process of rolling out more 5G. What is the relevance of all of this? The relevance is the coronavirus is not what's killing people. It is clearly, categorically, unequivocally, and scientifically proven that the radio frequencies that we are being exposed to is what is killing the people. Why are they allowing it? Because of multiple agendas, but primarily because 5G is the only network with the speed to handle the future. And where we're going rapidly is a world run by AI, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, where everything's interconnected on the internet, a new global currency that is coming out, hence why I've been pushing what I've been pushing for the last 5 years in Africa with our own digital currency to combat what was coming. In addition to that, there will be driverless cars. There'll be a number of different things that basically need to run on 5G. So they cannot reverse the implementation of this technology. And they're happy for it to the sacrifice to be millions of lives around the world. Just to prove the point further, the cruise ships were installed with 5G. So the people that were quarantined on the cruise ships, they were cruise ships that had 5G, and that's why the people were getting sick. Hospitals have 5G. Major cities have 5G. Airports have 5G. So these are places where people will automatically get sick if they're exposed to the inordinate levels of radiation through radio spectrum poisoning. Okay, so let me move on. We've had 3 pandemics in the last 120 years. The first pandemic was in 1918, which was called the Spanish flu pandemic. This was when they implemented radio waves globally and increased electrification of our universe. Guess what happens? Millions of people died 6 months later with a pandemic they called the Spanish flu pandemic. Roll on a number of years. World War II, just after that, another pandemic, which was the implementation of radar equipment globally. Satellites went up, a plethora of different satellites went up into the what they call is the Van Allen belt,